First, I'm so sorry for your loss. And second, I am so glad to hear that you want to be proactive and that you're not assuming that I will be so stupid like a lot of people in this comment and go through so many losses without doing any testing, because I have been so proactive. So without further ado, I wrote everything down, every single test that I've done since my first miscarriage, because I didn't want to miss anything. So this is going to be very detailed, but this is every single test that I've done. After a first miscarriage last year, obviously I went back to my OB for follow-up, and it's just bad luck. Just keep trying. At least we know that you can get pregnant. Yeah, that was not a good answer for me. So I went on my own and tried to find tests that I can do without a doctor's orders. So I like to get blood work done by myself because I used to work out a lot and be an athlete, and I wanted to always check if my hormones were fine, like every year, every few years. So I know that there's a lot of websites now and companies that you can go and do blood work without a doctor's order. But the one that I used to get, they don't check necessarily for PCOS and everything for female fertility. So what I found is Let's Get Checked. I wanted to know everything about my female hormone, AMH, FSH, LH. I wanted to know everything about TSH because my mom and everyone on my mom's side, they all take levothyroxine. So I was like, So I wanted to check that. I also wanted to check everything about PCOS because I always kind of had an idea that I had high testosterone for my blood work, but I never was confirmed PCOS. And I put on weight easily. So I also want to check about my vitamin D and everything that is important as a female when you're trying to conceive. So I want to Let's Get Checked. You do have to prick it yourself at home. So it was a lot. Not everyone likes to do this, but you don't need a doctor's order. You do everything at home. You send it, and I'm going to show you exactly all the results. So this is the app, and this is all the tests that I've done. The macronutrient, the thyroid, female hormone, and the PCOS. The macronutrient check for like vitamin D, B12, and some basics. I check for thyroid plus because it does not check only for TSH like most doctor will check. It check for FT3, FT4, and also anti-thyroid antibodies, because if those are abnormal, that is a sign that is another thing going on, another disease or lupus or something else. So this is how you can get more tests done if this is abnormal. So that's also why I want to get this whole TSH, and I was right about my TSH. This is all the female hormone, the FSH, LAs, etc. And this is for PCOS and AMH. And how I found out I had PCOS. From this on, I knew that, boom, I had PCOS, my TSH was higher, and everything that I suspected was right, so my gut feeling was right. I also had a feeling that my husband's semen was probably not right, and so I started to go and find a reproductive endocrinologist that could help me for my female hormone, but also that does fertility. So I ended up being in actually fertility clinic without necessarily wanting to go to a fertility clinic, but anyway. As a fertility clinic, what they do when you go there as a first patient, they make you do every single test. Everything revolves around your cycles. A lot of the blood work have to be done during cycle day 3 to 5, and it was the same for Let's Get Checked. Everything has to be done during the first few days of your cycle. So I was waiting for my period, and that's when I realized like I was actually pregnant for the second time spontaneously. So they made me come in to check my pregnancy hormone, and that actually went down, and that's when I had my second consecutive miscarriage, and that was a chemical pregnancy because we didn't have time to see it on ultrasound yet. So once you have 2 consecutive miscarriages, you're automatically diagnosed with a recurrent pregnancy loss, and that's when you can get all the recurrent pregnancy loss panel. So this is everything and all the tests that you can get done at a fertility clinic as soon as you have minimum 2 consecutive miscarriages, which is lupus anticoagulant. This is when they find out if they have any blood clot disorder. They will check for carrier type on me and my husband for blood work, and it's a blood work, but it's everything about chromosome. If you have any chromosome abnormality, they will check for my A1C, they check my DHA, my FSH, my LH, AMH, all of this again, because it's a fertility clinic, obviously, testosterone, and then they check for infectious disease on both him and I. They check for HIV, hepatitis B, chlamydia, all of that thing. And then they check for genetic carrier screening to see if him or I carry the same gene. That will automatically make you go through IVF and do a different type of PGT sorry, I don't remember which time, to avoid to pass down a gene to your child. And my husband are actually not carrier for the same gene, so that was good. So they check for like antibody tests, that antibody cardiolipin, that is with the lupus anticoagulant, which is that will check for like thrombosis, antiphospholipid APS, so they check for that too. And obviously you also do the semen analysis for my husband, and then for me was the SHG and the HSG, which are two different, which is the hysterosalpinogram. One is to check your uterine cavity, if you have any septum, if you have any anything in your uterine cavity, and then the other one is to check for the fallopian tube if they are blocked or anything. So during that time, everything was fine, everything come back negative. And beside being diagnosed with PCOS at that time, because when they did the HSG or the SSG, I don't remember which one, that's when she saw my ovaries, that's when I saw all the little polyps, and that's when I was formally diagnosed with PCOS. From then on, that's when we found out about my husband's semen analysis. That was not very great. After that, we did one IUI. It didn't work. And then I still had some like, you know what? I still don't have any answer. I need to do more tests. Obviously, all those tests are not cheap, but I needed answers. That's when I went on with Minion Marker that I found out on a podcast. And so it's a urine test that they check for all the level of toxic chemical in your body, from BPA, phthalate, paraben, and oxybenzone. I only did it for me because my husband didn't want to do it, but I'm very, very careful about everything that I eat, and I always eat at home. I never eat in the restaurant. I barely put any makeup. My skincare, I'm very careful. I buy everything natural. So I knew that my level will be very low, which they were, but I'm pretty sure if my husband did the test, it will be not low because he eats out for lunch every day. So anyway, that's another test that you can do. Then I was not happy with this clinic, went on to a new clinic. They did more more tests like AMH, FSH, LH at the beginning of your cycle before we went on for IVF. My new doctor actually treated me for autoimmune disease like I had it, but without doing the test. He said the test was expensive. I don't know if it's true, but that's the only test that I will be doing if it comes to it. But I was being treated with steroid during my frozen embryo cycle. Now, after everything being negative and not having a real answer, they always assume that it's a chromosome abnormality, which is 90% of all miscarriages. But at least I wanted to do all the testing. So the only treatment for chromosome abnormality is to do IVF with PGTA testing, which we did. And then I still miscarry for a third time after our first embryo transfer. After that, the only test that has not been done, which we did, was the biopsy of my uterine lining. And then I went on my own on AV to test for urea plasma, which is another risk of miscarriage. And it checked for every bacteria in your vaginal tract, and everything came back negative. So I still don't have any answer, but a lot of people have had answer with any of those tests. So I hope it will be very helpful to you.